to the souls of our martyrs who fell down in Palestine. Take your seats, please. In the name of Allah, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the great people of Egypt, peace be upon you. It gives me pleasure and pride to be here with this gathering, the sons of Egypt, who convened for the cause and the homeland. Egypt and belonging to the Arab nation gathered them, and those who hold on to that would never be divided or misguided. And I'm very happy to see hope in this gathering today. We are here forging for the future a title, and we are paving its way. And as we have always pledged that the unity of the Egyptians would be the guarantee to the survival of Egypt after God's will. And it's known without any change. Ladies and gentlemen, the great honorable people of Egypt, the Arab region is witnessing a grave crisis added to the previous challenges from which it has suffered over decades. And the Palestinian cause is facing also a very sensitive, dangerous turning point in light of uncalculated, inhumane escalations that has adopted the methodology of collective punishment and committing massacres to impose a reality on ground that would lead to dissolving the cause, evacuating the people and taking over the land. And the shots did not distinguish between an old man, women, or children. And the killing machine has been working without any conscience or mind and has become a stigma on the conscience of humanity. Since the first moment of the beginning of this war, the state of Egypt has managed the stance with firmness in decision and flexibility in movement, as well as accurate follow-up of developments and updating the information on a timely basis, in addition to continuous communication and contacts with all stakeholders. And we have formed a crisis management group from all state institutions, and I've personally followed up its work round the clock. And my decision was firm, and it was the same as Egypt's decision as a state and people that would be one of the first supporters to our brothers in Palestine. And in leading the work to support them, this decision that is deep in the conscience and the hearts of the Egyptians. Egypt's struggle was written related to sacrifices for the Palestinian cause, and the Egyptian blood was mixed with the Palestinian blood throughout 7 decades. History and geography made Egypt the foundation in supporting the struggle of the Palestinian brotherly people. The great people of Egypt. Egypt exerted honest, intensified efforts to prevent the escalation of this war at all levels. Politically, we held the first international summit in Cairo with an international and regional contribution to support the need of putting an end to this struggle, as well as supporting the provision of humanitarian aid to Gaza Strip, and also the participation of Egypt in the Arab Islamic Summit was effective, as its outcomes were in conformity with the Egyptian stance in general. And also the state intensified its contacts at the international level with the leaders, the international and regional leaders. We have always emphasized to everyone the Egyptian stance, refusing the plans of evacuating the Palestinians forcefully, be it from Gaza Strip or the West Bank to Egypt and Jordan. And let me talk a little here about this point. We, all Egyptians, have always had a stance that was sympathizing with the Palestinians, and over the previous years, after the struggles and the conflicts that took place in our region, millions of our brothers who were harmed by the conflicts, and we never complained or asked anyone for any support. This point, we always say that we have 9 million guests, and no one can say that when we mention that we won't accept the forced evacuation of Palestinians and we won't accept the fragmentation of the Palestinian goals, no one can say that Egypt does not have positive stances or humane, noble stances. But things are different. For the brothers and the guests I've mentioned, they have unstable countries, yet they have a state, a country. But in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, things are different. If it is left by its people, then they would never get back to it. That's why Egypt says that this is a red line for Egypt, a red line. We would never accept that, and we won't allow it. We've always been calm and spoke wisely, in patience. But no one can expect that this means weakness on our part. It's neither weakness nor giving up. No forced evacuation and no displacement of Palestinians from Gaza Strip to Egypt. This is a red line for Egypt. The firm Egyptian stance against the attempts to displace the Palestinians, be it from the West Bank or Gaza Strip to Egypt and Jordan, is to protect the Palestinian cause and not to harm the national security of our countries. And here I would like also to thank countries all over the world, on top of which is the United States of America, that emphasized its support to the Egyptian stance and refusal of any attempts in this context. We have always emphasized the necessity of ceasefire immediately and getting back to the the negotiation table to reach final, permanent, comprehensive peace based on acknowledging the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people, on top of which is the recognition of the Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. And at the humanitarian level, we made a decision to keep Rafah land crossing open so that all food, medical, and fuel aid would get into Gaza, as well as receiving injured Palestinians despite the clashes and the battle. Yet we were able to keep the crossing open. And the amount of support and assistance provided by Egypt to Gaza Strip amounts to 12 million tons. 1,300 vehicles conveyed them. Out of them, 8,400 tons were provided by the Egyptian state through the Egyptian Red Crescent, as well as the National Coalition for Development, Civil Action, and Long Live Egypt Fund. And this amounts to 70% of the total assistance and aid that got to Gaza Strip. Let me also emphasize this point, because I've mentioned it when I was outside and met the volunteers, the sons and daughters of Egypt, who were facilitating and providing the provision of aid and assistance to the Strip. I would like to tell you, the Egyptians, you need to know that the Rafah crossing was never closed. We did not shut it down at all. Because I'm repeating this point, some people heard news about it, and you know well that we're honest and we never lie. The crossing was never shut down, but it was bombarded 4 times from the other side. Again, Rafah crossing was never closed, but it was bombarded by the Israeli forces 4 times from the Palestinian side. So it was so important to protect lives of those who are delivering the aid and assistance, and we needed to be aware of the procedures, because by the end we want the aid to get into Gaza. And we have also allocated Al Arish International Airport to receive the aid flights coming from abroad, with a total of 158 flights. And the Egyptian joint efforts with the United States of America and our brothers, the Qataris, were crowned by reaching a humanitarian truce for 4 days, and it can be renewed. And I wish that it would start being implemented over the coming few days without any delay. And God willing, we would start this tomorrow morning. The noble people of Egypt, I would like to emphasize with clear words and honest words that we intend to go on confronting this crisis, holding on to the rights of the historical Palestinian rights, and holding on to our sacred national security, exerting all efforts and blood for that, being supported by the strength of wisdom and the wisdom of strength, looking for lost humanity amongst conflicts and battles, ignited by extreme voices that forgot that one of the names of God is just. And he has created people from different sects, groups, and races. And peace is the option of humanity. even if enemies think otherwise. And we pray to Allah to crown our efforts for peace with success, and to crown our sacrifices for humanity with success, supporting our national security gathered by the Palestinian cause. Long live Egypt, long live Palestine, and peace and blessing of Allah be upon you.
نحن جند الله جند الوطن، إن دعا داعي الفداء لم نخن. فدائي 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 يا أرضي يا أرض الجدود. فدائي 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 يا شعبي يا شعب